Hi everyone, this is BritSimon. I want to update you about the CEAC data for DV2020. Some of you may know that we're able to extract the CEAC data, which is the case status data for all of the DV lottery cases. And a wonderful gentleman, Zarthisius, is able to extract that data. Not only does he do that, he also puts together this web page so that we can visualize the data. And the visualization is actually, pretty important. So what he and I had agreed a few days ago was that in order for the hearing, to prepare for the hearing, I wanted to be able to provide the legal team with an indication of how many visas had been issued, how many cases have been made, made available to the embassies, and so on, to see whether KCC and the embassies have been acting in good faith with the best efforts that they could possibly do. Now, I have previously calculated and shown to the lawyers exactly, what the monthly issuances, the monthly scheduling of visas could be, and just so we can think about it, in some of the busy months over this year and last year, KCC were able to schedule around about 3,800 interviews in a month. 3,800 interviews would equate to around about 8,000 people. So in a month, they should be able to do that on a regular month, right? Now, if a federal judge has just told you to do everything you can to prioritize all your efforts towards helping some people, and those people deserve help, if that's what you've just been told by a federal judge, I would expect KCC to have done something at least like that, right? So I've been looking at the data, and I'm frankly quite disappointed and shocked that they haven't done as much as I'd expected them to do. So let me just point out the data that I'm going to show you here is a little bit confused because we hadn't taken an extract between May and September. And there was a little bit of activity between May and September because a few cases were able to be reissued. Very, very few. It was, it's hardly worth talking about. But, we do also have that track data here as well. But that means that there is a possibility that some of the data I'm about to tell you about was actually before the order, before Judge Mehta's order on September 4th. But in general, the same principle applies. So we have this kind of useful thing here where we have a summary for each of the regions and a total here. So we can see how many cases are issued under the issued column, how many cases are refused, how many are at AP, and how many are ready. Now, this is, we can also look by region, and we can see a visualization here that shows how many cases there are at any particular block. So the blue color is holes. I've explained about how holes happen. The beige color there represents cases that have not been scheduled. Their status would read at MVC on the CEAC system. They haven't been scheduled, they haven't been interviewed, nothing, right? Nothing at all. And as you can see, there's, ignore the blue color, there's an awful lot of cases in Africa region, for example, that even today, on our extract today on September 19th, nothing has happened with them. Right? And if I move the slider bar, because you can move the slider bar, if you just see here in a normal month, when you move the slider bar from 1 month, this is February the 1st, and then we move that slider bar to the right, and that's a 1 month jump, so March the 1st. You can see, if you look in this area, sorry, this hover over thing drives me nuts, but you can see if you look in this sort of area where I'm hovering here, you can see that there is movement, significant movement from 1 month to the next. That's what it's like when KCC schedule a bunch of cases, right? You'll see greens which are issued, and you'll see the light blue which is cases being sent out for interviews. This is they're in transit or ready cases. That's where they've had their 2NL sent out. Okay, so that's what a progression looks like in a normal month, and it's fairly obvious. And then March came along. Mid-March, everything was shut down, so the progression from that point, is much different. Like by the time we actually got round to April, there had been some issuances. Those cases went to green, but you'll see there were no more or very few 2NLs actually went out by the time we took the data in April. And again, this is Africa region we're looking at. Now, May, there's almost no perceivable difference. Again, you can see no difference, right? And if you'd just been instructed by the federal judge to do something, you would expect a pretty dramatic change right now, looking at that visualization. And if I move the slider bar, can you see the difference? Now, it's very hard, but you'll notice a couple of cases down here change. That's it. That is the big effect after Judge Mehta told KCC and the embassies to get on with it. That's frankly disgraceful. And I hope Judge Mehta sees this data and understands this data. I'm gonna try and put this data into a report to explain this. But it's now 15 days after the order, and they've barely done anything. You can almost not see it on this screen here. You can see, some cases there's some light blue here, which are 2NLs that have been sent out. But there's, I'm almost at a loss for words. Okay, let's look at another region. We'll look at EU. Same sort of thing. Again, if I go back so you can see what normal looks like. Normal month of scheduling and activity from month to month, from February to March. Yeah, big difference, right? March to April, not a big difference. May, not a big difference because we're all shut down at that point. So, okay, there must be a big jump in September, right? No, not a big jump. Look at all these cases still in beige color. They haven't been helped at all. Nobody's doing anything for them. Not the embassies, not KCC. Let's have a look at Asia. Asia's slider bar. So again, we'll have a look at February. There's February. You can actually notice the difference. You can see that KCC and the embassies have done something. Here's April, a little bit more activity. It's just blue cases, light blue cases, which are scheduled cases turning to green, meaning that they've been issued or, issued cases. May, almost no difference. And then September, yeah, a little bit of difference, but not earth-shattering, right? I'm just speechless, really. We'll look at South Africa. It's not often I don't have much to say. I'm made speechless, but this really has just shocked me. So there's February, just to show you the same thing. There's March. You can see activity happening in February to March, etc. Here's the May change, almost. Again, we're looking at this area, almost no difference, right? I'm just going back and forth to show you the differences there. And then we get to from May, go to September, and that's actually quite a big change. Okay, so that we'll discuss in a moment. What does that mean? That's almost exclusively at a couple of hard-working embassies, and I'll show you those in a moment. So we've got South America has been helped, and it's a comparative thing. There's still a heck of a lot. Look at all these beige. That's still all the people that are not being issued. So again, if you're Judge Mehta and you've just instructed some organization to do everything they can to help these people, you're probably going to be asking the question, why is there so much beige? Why are there so many people that obviously want their visas but haven't got them? Right, because the level of the visas should be at that level all the way through. We should see about roughly half of these cases. I mean, not every case will continue their case, right? Some people change their mind. But where are all these, it should be continued like it was at the beginning of the year. Where are all these people? They're not being helped. Okay, and then OC, look at Oceania region. Again, we can see, there's a little bit of a change, but it's not dramatic. It's not setting the world on fire, and it's not like a normal month. Now, okay, they've only had 15 days. That's half a month. I just don't think this is enough. I don't think it's enough. If you're Judge Mehta and you look at this data and you understand what this means, I just don't think it's enough. Okay, so let's look at that data. You can get these same data files I'm showing you here from Zarthisius's website. It's all available. We make the data available publicly, so you can have a look at it yourself. But I just want to show you, what this means. Oh man, what have they done? They've changed everything on me. Filter, right? Okay, so if we look at what consulates there are in total. There's all of those, right? But I think if we look at, we'll turn some of those off. Actually, what I should do is pivot this. I might pivot this data and stop the video for a minute and pivot. Let me just see if I can find the embassies that are actually doing the work. So I think Bogota is, which is BGT, I believe. Yeah. So Bogota has of the cases in this file, there's 90 of them that have gone to Bogota, right? So out of the whole world, out of all the embassies, 200 embassies, this is 2NL data we're looking at now. This is data that we know has been sent as new interviews. So 693 rows, because 694 is including the header, right? So in the whole world, 694 or 693 cases were sent out as 2NLs. And they've got various statuses from ready, which means they've been sent by KCC and the embassy has marked it as being received, but they haven't marked the status as being issued or refused or whatever next. In transit is where an embassy has been sent that file, but they haven't yet marked it as received, and because of that, we don't know which embassy it is. Right, so that's marked as none. If I just pull out the nuns for a second, let's see, nuns. How many nuns are there? There's quite a lot of nuns, right? So out of this file of 693 rows, we have 373 rows which are not yet marked as being received by the embassy because they've just been sent in the last day or so and the embassy hasn't marked them. 90 rows were handled by Bogota, so that brings us to 460, and the remainder of 693, so something like 230 cases, is all the other embassies in the world combined. So if it wasn't for Bogota, what would be going on? Not very much, frankly. So again, this just drives me mad. This just tells me that they're not working. They're not doing what they should be doing. And this is the full file. So this has every single case number in it for every single region and a status. In here, you'll see, by the way, you'll see that if the status says none, that's a whole, right? So we generally ignore those, and we let's say we'll take those out. So we take those out. Now these are real cases. We know that this is either at MVC, for example, like that one. This case has not been sent. This is Africa, case number 15. It's not been sent to any embassy yet. And it may never get sent to an embassy, obviously. Whereas this one, this is Kineshasa, I think. That's a refused case. That's how they look, right? So in Africa, case number 4 was a real case. Case number 1, 2, and 3 were holes. Case number 7 is a real case. Case number 11 is a real case. CRO is Cairo. ADD for Addis Ababa, I believe. Yaoundé is Cameroon, right? So these consulates are there. You can see the consulate codes. If you want to know what the consulate codes are, you can get this file, the embassy's text, to see the consulate codes. There's a mapping there so you can figure out which is which. But again, that big file that I was just showing you, this big file here, has all the data which is then combined into this visualization. So by looking at the visualization and by looking at these numbers, we can see, what's really going on. So just in terms of a summary, if we now focus on these numbers here, right, which are the totals, looking at the world as a combined, combined thing. This is the whole world, right? You can see that in May we had 12,322 cases issued. That number has gone down because some of the cases that were issued and expired are being reissued at the moment, and they could be marked as refused, which really could mean administrative processing while they're getting their visa reissued. Okay, so that number has largely not changed. We haven't seen a massive increase. There may be an increase in that number over the next few days. We'll continue to watch it. But if you look at this next number, which is the refused number, let me just make this a little smaller so I can move the slider bar and you'll see this changing. So if we look at this refused number, you can see that in May it was 4,800. Now it's what, 4,800? It's 1,400 cases more. So sorry, 1,400 people more. So this is not cases now. This is people. This is actual individuals. So 1,400 extra people are in a refused status. In general, those will probably be temporary refusals, I believe, where where they should get their case approved over the coming days. But we'll see. There will also be some of these cases which are marked as AP now. Previously, they were not marked as AP because they just switched at that point to being refused. So they used to use a status of AP. They rarely use it now. They are marking those as refused instead. So 300 cases transferred to there from this bucket, if you see what I mean. And then ready, we had 10,401. We now have less ready. So there's 600 people. Those people were marked as ready. They're now they've gone into the refused bucket, essentially. So they were either refused between May and September 4th because the embassies marked them as refused, meaning they're stuck by the proclamations, or they've been sent out and they've been interviewed or re-interviewed, and they've been marked as refused. But if we look at the 2NL data, this file that I was showing you earlier with 693 rows, we can see there's just not very many cases that have gone out to the embassies. So this is nuts. So quite frankly, it tells me that KCC did not press the button on a massive number of cases sending them out. Now I am seeing some signs that they've got past the initial sort of plaintiffs, the named plaintiffs numbers, and that they've moved on a little bit to some of the case, the Group 4, as I call them, Group 4 cases. There's even one or two Group 5 cases around which have been converted and weren't named plaintiffs. So that's interesting too. There's a few embassies where the embassy is proactively asking KCC to send the cases. Madrid is an example of that, and I had someone report the activity where they've been scheduled. This lady has been scheduled, and it's probably because Madrid asked for her case to be sent out. So some of the embassies have done a great job, but many of the embassies have not. And KCC have not done a great job, frankly, because there's just not enough activity shown in this data. So I'll be compiling this report and sending it to the legal team with these numbers, and we'll see if it ties with what the government reports. The government are going to produce their own report saying how their agencies responded, both KCC and the embassies. And if they say they've done a fantastic job, our legal team will instantly have the data to say no, not a great job. They could have done more, and they really should have done more. And actually, as proof that they could have done more, by the way, we now have proof. We have a number of cases, DV2021 cases, which have received their email saying, congratulations, your documents are ready, and that sort of thing, or please send your documents in. What the hell are they doing processing DV2021 cases right now when they've been told by a federal judge, by Judge Mehta, to do DV2020 cases? You know, KCC should have taken all of their resources, as I explained in my video the other day. They should have taken all their resources and put them towards DV2020. DV2021 is blocked by the ban. Nobody's going to get interviewed until January. So why on earth are they wasting resources in this 2-week period on DV2021 cases? It's just, you know, common logic tells you put your resources where it can make the most help, right? So I honestly don't understand. It's as if they want to try and demonstrate to the judge that they have not used common sense or good faith or good judgment in processing as many cases as possible. And frankly, that just helps the argument for an extension. So, you know, they might be playing into our hands in a sense, because they're just, you know, if they'd have done a great job, if they'd have done everything they could have done and they couldn't be criticized, then Judge Mehta may say, you know what, you tried, you did the best you can, we can't help everyone, we always knew that, we're not going to have the extension. But since they've done such a lousy job and they've done things that demonstrate that they weren't even focusing on DV2020 cases, you know, it's more fuel to the fire for Judge Mehta to decide, well, you know, you didn't comply with the order in the way that we had asked, and so we're now going to give the give the selectees more time. So you know, it's increasing the chances of an extension. So there you go. That's my analysis of that data. I just want to stress I really appreciate Zarthisius in his help in getting this data, and he's always done an amazing job. He's a very smart guy, DV lottery winner, and so I appreciate him, and also the other clever programmers that have done this sort of work in the past, that have worked on extracting our data for CEAC. It really is helpful at a time like this. All right, that was the only update I wanted to give just about this data. I'll leave it at that. Thanks everybody. Please subscribe to the channel. Please give me a like on this video if you like this video. I want to get my readership up so that I can get more good information out there. So please support me if you can by liking the video and subscribing. All right. Thank you everybody. Bye bye.